Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me this evening. Do you miss the good old days like I do? That's the question we address in the DML report. Yesterday, I attended a Donald Trump rally on Long Island. It was held in the same area where I grew up as a kid. I grew up in a town that truly represented what America used to be. Our town was filled with modest homes on 60 by 100 plots. We mowed our own lawns and painted our picket fences white. We hung American flags from the porch. It was a place where neighbors borrowed milk and sugar from each other. We kept our doors unlocked at all times. We prayed at the same church on Sunday. Our parents' cars were American-made: Chevys, Fords, station wagons, and Pintos. Remember them? Teenagers worked part-time jobs after school because our parents said work builds character. And they were right. We delivered newspapers, cut lawns, and mopped floors. We did the jobs Americans are proud to do. Back in those days, parents didn't buy their kids a car. Your first drive came from saving your money. And that's why you washed and waxed it every weekend yourself. It meant something to you. Our parents were humble. Moms didn't wear tons of makeup. They didn't need to. They were naturally beautiful. Our dads were real men, many of them Vietnam vets, but all of them hard workers. The sort of family men who would never dare collect welfare unless there was absolutely no other choice. And no other choice meant you couldn't find or you couldn't work a fourth job because you got physically hurt somehow. Our parents believed in arriving to work early and staying late. They jumped at the chance of overtime. They were construction workers and secretaries, cops, firemen. Some of them worked at the facility where Donald Trump held his rally yesterday, a place called Grumman. Everybody was proud of Grumman. That's where we used to build our fighter jets and spacecrafts. In the good old days, there were no cell phones or text messages. There were no arranged play dates. Where I grew up, we communicated by riding our bikes to a friend's house and knocking on the door to see if they were home. And if they weren't, you went to the next house. We didn't waste daylight playing video games. No, we played football, stickball, roller hockey, and ring alivio. And we wouldn't stop until the street lights came on. We were healthy. I don't recall one kid in my class being obese. Imagine that. Where I grew up, the public schools taught script. Why don't they teach script anymore? In my day, we made projects out of clay and old shoeboxes. Today, kids do projects in Google Docs. We hung out in packs. If you screwed with one of our friends, we'd kick your ass. It was that simple. We didn't use knives or guns. We didn't sucker punch anybody. We fought like men. And if you lost like a man. But it was hard to beat us. Very hard to beat us. To do that, you'd almost have to kill us. And that's because we were taught to never quit, because quitters never win. And American kids used to be addicted to winning. Today, they're addicted to heroin. I often tell my kids about the good old days. I tell them about my old town, a place with small shops where shopkeepers knew your first name. And if you were short a couple of bucks for a slice of pizza, not to worry. They'd extend your credit just based on your handshake. You paid it back when you had the chance. I tell my children about the good old days when kids respected their elders and teachers. They never talked back to their parents unless they wanted the back of the hand. And we didn't dare disrespect the police. But those days are gone. And sadly, my town is too. Yesterday, I took my teenage daughter with me to the Trump rally. To get there, we had to drive through my old neighborhood. Sadly, it represents the new America, a place where illegal aliens and Middle Easterners have basically taken over. We drove down Main Street and saw the store signs written in Spanish, or should I say Espanol. The eateries serving some sort of kebabs we didn't even know how to pronounce. Maybe that's because I don't know how to read Arabic. There are less churches and more mosques. The old five and dime store is now a clothing outlet offering the latest in Muslim prayer wear. I often tell you here on this show about how I travel the country by car and train because it affords me the chance to really see how America is doing. And yes, it is bad. But none of my travels hurt as much as yesterday when I drove through my old town and saw it slowly fading away. Yesterday, I entered the old empty airplane hangar at Grumman through the press area. I was feeling sort of blue when I did. But then they opened the doors. And the middle class of America I once knew came rushing in. 10,000, maybe 15,000 familiar faces who had to pass the same Main Street I passed to get to the Trump rally. But for 1 hour, we all left that behind. We let our hearts come out. For For 1 hour inside of an old warehouse, the old American spirit came alive again, because that's what Donald Trump can do. He has this uncanny way of bringing the best out of you. And although Trump grew up a privileged guy, so to say, somehow he's one of us. He walks proud like us. He fights like us. He talks about winning in the same way we want to talk about winning. He's a no BS guy. And when the rally was over, my daughter said, "That was the greatest thing I've ever been to, Dad." And I replied, "You know what? You just witnessed the good old days." My daughter said, "You must really miss them, Dad." I sure do. You know, Bill O'Reilly grew up down in the same town I did, and Sean Hannity wasn't too far from us as well. The three of us often get a lot of, we get chastised for liking Trump because he has a history of being less than conservative. I think one of the reasons why we let this sort of slide is because deep down inside, we see the good old days inside of Donald Trump. We see what we know is lost in America, and we want it back. And I'll admit, Trump isn't perfect. He doesn't have all the right answers all the time, but then again, neither did our parents. And in the same way we all knew Mom and Dad would keep their promise of giving us a better life than they had, I believe, that Trump will do whatever it takes to make America great again.
Thank you very much. First of all, it's great to be home. This is home. We love New York, and we are all together.